I have lived for 105 years this year. I survived the fires of the Korean War, endured the hunger of the lean years, and watched with my own eyes as South Korea rose from ruins to become a top 12 global economy. Throughout those long years, I watched countless people being born, getting sick, and passing away. Some left early, while others stayed for a long time. However, those who lived long lives had one thing in common. Before trusting a hospital, they first trusted their own kitchen. Some of you hearing this for the first time today might think like this. Professor, isn't that just an old-fashioned story? Medicine has advanced now, hasn't it? That is correct. Medicine has indeed advanced, but I would like to ask one thing. With medicine so advanced, why are there more sick people around us now? Why are there so many people in their 50s living on medication for blood pressure, diabetes, and digestion? I am not distrusting doctors. Please do not misunderstand me. However, as I lived my life, I realized one truth. A hospital is a place you go after you have already broken down. But the kitchen is a place that quietly protects you every day so you don't break down. I did not know this when I was young. In my 30s, I was busy. I had to lecture, write books, and take care of my family. The kitchen was my wife's territory, and I thought health could be taken care of later. But when I reached my 60s, I began to hear the signals my body was sending for the first time. My hands and feet were often cold. My digestion was poor, and every winter I couldn't shake off a cold. That was when I remembered what my mother used to do. Instead of running to the pharmacy, the glass jars sitting quietly in the corner of the kitchen, the scent of dried ginger, the smell of soybean paste stew, that was the beginning. For over 40 years since then, I have consistently followed 5 kitchen-based remedies. They are not special ingredients. They are not expensive either. Perhaps they are things your mother or grandmother already knew, but we push them aside, dismissing them as too old or unscientific. And we filled that space with brightly packaged supplements and expensive health functional foods. Today, I want to fill that empty space again. This is not a fancy prescription. It is not a miraculous secret method. It is simply 5 stories that an old man who has lived a long life has quietly practiced in his kitchen every morning. By the time this story ends, you will probably think this. I already knew this. And that is true. You knew it, but you had forgotten it. And because you forgot, your body slowly drifted away from you. The person who controls their kitchen eventually controls their own body. Now, let's begin the first story. Every autumn, when chili peppers are in peak season, I make it a point to go to the market. Even now, at my age, that habit has not changed. Of course, it's become difficult for me to go out on my own these days, but the sight of bright red peppers piled high on stalls under the autumn sun remains vivid even when I close my eyes. When peppers are cheap, that is the time to prepare. I buy a generous amount that day. Generous enough to feel a bit too much. I return home, and the first thing I do is wash the peppers thoroughly and dry them completely. This process is the key. There must not be even a trace of moisture left. I usually spread them out in a sunny spot for 3 to 4 days. I wait until the peppers shrivel, their skins tighten, and the moisture inside has completely evaporated. You must not rush. This is a task of patience. I pack the fully dried peppers into a clean glass jar, layer by layer. Then I slowly pour in high-quality soju with at least 40% alcohol, enough to fully submerge the peppers. Then I close the lid and leave it in a cool, dark place for at least 3 months. Some years, I have let it sit for 6 months. The longer it sits, the more the pepper's essence permeates the liquor. The color turns a deep shade of red, and the scent becomes spicy yet heavy. After 3 months, I drink exactly 1 spoonful a day. Just a single spoonful after breakfast or on an evening when I feel cold. It is not about drinking a lot. This is not about indulgence. It is about sending a signal to your body. A signal that I am taking care of you today. I first learned this from my mother. Even during the war or times when food was scarce, my mother would always dry peppers and soak them in soju when autumn arrived. Those were days when there were no pharmacies. There were even fewer hospitals. If we felt chills, a spoonful of pepper soju. If we felt bloated, a spoonful of pepper soju. My mother called it a gift given by autumn. For a long time, I just let those words pass me by. In my 30s, I didn't believe in such things. As someone who studied modern medicine, it just felt like a superstition. But as I entered my 60s and 70s and felt my whole body stiffening from the severe cold one winter, I thought of my mother's glass jar for the first time. That night, I drank a spoonful of the pepper soju. The next morning, my body felt significantly lighter. Only then did I finally understand what my mother was preparing wasn't just liquor. It was the wisdom of capturing the seasons. It was about trapping the sparks of autumn in a bottle to transform them into the strength to endure the cold winter. Chili peppers contain capsaicin. It helps blood circulation, dispels cold, and aids digestion. The alcohol in soju plays a role in extracting and preserving its components. This is also a fact proven by modern pharmacology. However, I believe there is something more important than a list of ingredients. That is the attitude of adapting to the seasons, the mindset of accepting what autumn offers and preparing for winter. The body recognizes that heart. Do not rush. Do not buy chili peppers and expect immediate results. You must wait 3 months. But think about it. Everyone. Isn't our body the same way? Why? There is no body that becomes healthy overnight. The things we quietly accumulate day by day eventually sustain us. Chili-infused soju is not just a simple folk remedy. It is a philosophy of patience and preparation. When autumn comes, buy plenty of chili peppers and wait. That is enough. I have never liked garlic in my life. I will be honest with you. In my youth, I disliked the smell of garlic because I knew that if I ate garlic the day before a lecture, students would turn away the next day. I had a reputation as an intellectual to maintain. It seems I was brainwashed somewhere that garlic was rustic and not something an educated person would enjoy. Thinking back, it was a truly foolish prejudice. It was a student who broke that prejudice for me. It was the year I turned 72. At that time, I suffered every winter from swollen tonsils and a hoarse throat. It wasn't a cold, but my body felt heavy and I lacked energy. A student who saw me like that carefully handed me a small glass jar. When I opened the lid, a subtle scent of garlic rose along with the sweet smell of honey. The student said, "Professor, please try eating just one clove every morning on an empty stomach. Just for 1 month." I accepted it, feeling half skeptical. That was my first encounter with honey-marinated garlic. The method of making it is simple. Prepare cloves that have been peeled clean. Handle the garlic with care so it doesn't get bruised. Fill a clean, dry glass jar with the garlic and slowly pour pure natural honey until the garlic is completely submerged. Then close the lid and store it in a cool, dark place. The important thing here is time, at least 100 days. As time passes, the pungent energy of the garlic gradually fades, and the sweetness of the honey permeates deep into the garlic, transforming it into something entirely different. It is no longer irritating. It becomes soft, sweet, and yet possesses a substantial energy. Tomorrow morning, wake up, drink a sip of water, and then slowly chew one of those garlic cloves. Do not rush. You must chew it thoroughly. And do not eat anything for about 10 minutes. During that short time, the allicin in the garlic wakes up the stomach and sends a quiet signal to the immune system, thinking, I am ready today too. I followed my student's advice and practiced it for a month. And amazingly, that winter, my tonsils did not swell. My throat didn't get hoarse. Of course, I cannot know for sure if it was entirely due to the garlic and honey. But since then, for over 30 years, I have never once stopped this habit. That is my answer. Even in modern medical research, the efficacy of garlic has already been proven by hundreds of papers. Allicin has excellent effects on antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, and immune enhancement. Honey preserves those components and increases their absorption rate. The 100-day maturation period is not just a tradition, but a process that mellows the pungent components of garlic and concentrates only the beneficial ones. Our ancestors did not know the language of science, but they knew it through their bodies. However, I would like to say one more thing here. What garlic and honey gives us is not just immunity. It is also a training in patience. You must wait for it to work. You must look into the jar day by day and wait. In that process, we learn something without even realizing it. That good things cannot be gained by rushing. This applies to our bodies, relationships, and wisdom as well. The world increasingly wants things to be fast. Fast cures, fast results, fast successes. But having lived this long, I know real strength does not come from what is fast. Like the garlic that silently waited for 100 days, things that have ripened quietly over a long time are what eventually protect us. The things with the strongest scent sometimes protect us the most quietly. Garlic is like that. And perhaps Some uncomfortable truths in our lives may be the same. Around the time I entered my 80s, a change came to me. I kept waking up while sleeping at night. It was because my hands and feet were cold. Even in midsummer, the tips of my toes felt chilly. People around me said, "It's because you're getting older." It was a reasonable thing to say. Slow blood circulation is a natural process of aging. But I did not want to accept that inevitability. Does getting older have to mean gradually growing cold? I didn't think so. So I went back to the kitchen, 5G of dry ginger and 10 jujubes. That is all. Put these two into 1 ladle of water and simmer over low heat for 30 minutes. You must not rush. If you boil it quickly over high heat, the essence of the ginger will not be properly extracted. Low heat and slow time, that is the key. After 30 minutes, the whole kitchen fills with the spicy and warm scent of ginger. Just from that scent alone, my body feels much lighter. I drink this slowly once a day in the afternoon. I drank it hot in a small cup, slowly, but for the first month, I didn't feel much change. By the second month, I noticed that I was waking up less during the night. When the third month arrived, my wife said to me, "Honey, your hands have become warmer lately." I heard those words and smiled quietly to myself. My wife didn't know how much those words meant, but I did. It was a sign that my body was coming back to life. Ginger is excellent for promoting blood circulation and driving out coldness. Jujubes calm the nerves and help with deep sleep. When these two meet, it is not just tea, but a remedy that quietly lights a fire inside the body. Traditional Korean medicine has used this combination for thousands of years. Modern research has also confirmed that the gingerol in ginger expands peripheral blood vessels and raises body temperature. Ancient wisdom and modern science are pointing to the same thing. And I must tell you about the fourth health booster. It is soybean paste soup. Everyone, do not underestimate soybean paste soup. I am telling you this with all sincerity. Soybean paste soup is the most underrated health booster in this world. The ingredients are simple. A spoonful of traditional soybean paste, a few pieces of tofu, some zucchini, and a green onion are enough. Do not add any chemical seasonings. You can make anchovy broth or just boil it in water. The key is traditional soybean paste. It is homemade soybean paste. My family was poor when I was young. We didn't have many side dishes on our table, but there was always soybean paste soup. My mother made the soybean paste herself, and it was aged for at least 2 to 3 years. Thinking back now, I wonder if it was that soybean paste soup that allowed my family to live without major illness despite such tough times. Soybean paste is a fermented food. The beneficial bacteria created during the fermentation process revitalize the gut, and it is a fact already revealed by modern medicine that 70% of immunity is maintained when the gut is healthy. The gut is also called the second brain. When the gut is at ease, the mind is also stabilized, sleep becomes deeper, and the body finds balance. A spoonful of soybean paste can be the start of all that. Right after the Korean War, I spent a few months in a refugee camp. There was almost nothing to eat. The first thing we made sure to pack back then was soybean paste. Even without rice or meat, as long as we had soybean paste, we could boil soup with anything. The elders who were with us back then, people in their 70s and 80s, lived steadfastly through the harshness of war. Even though by today's standards, their nutritional status would have been poor, I believe that was the power of fermentation. Today, we eat too much. We eat things that are too diverse, too stimulating, and too processed. As a result, our gut becomes increasingly confused, our immunity collapses, and no matter how much we eat, our bodies remain in a state of hunger. The solution is simple. Go back to a single bowl of soybean paste soup. It does not need to be fancy. It does not need to be complicated. A spoonful of soybean paste, some water, and one vegetable from the fridge that day. That is enough. Ginger and jujube tea infuses warmth into the body. Soybean paste soup revives the ecosystem within the body. Practicing these two things every day is not some grand health regimen. It is a small letter sent to your body every single day. A letter saying, I cherish you today as well. The body reads that letter, and quietly, yet clearly, it sends a reply. Eat what the earth has provided, and what time has ripened. That is the philosophy of a kitchen that lives with the seasons. Now it is time to talk about the fifth health tonic. You might perhaps be disappointed when you hear this. The chili-infused soju, pickled garlic, ginger, jujube tea, and soybean paste soup mentioned earlier all involved at least a process of preparing, waiting, and making. But for the fifth one, no preparation is needed at all. There are no ingredients required. There is no cost involved. It is just opening your eyes in the morning, heating some water, and slowly drinking a cup. A single cup of warm water. That is all. Are you disappointed? If so, pause for a moment and ask yourself, did you do that this morning? I know most people check their smartphones as soon as they open their eyes in the morning, or they drink coffee, or they rush to wash up, get dressed, and start their day. You give your stomach no time to wake up. You give your body no time to prepare. That is how the day begins, and that rush continues throughout the day. You have poor digestion, feel tired for no reason in the afternoon, and cannot sleep deeply at night. The beginning of all that might just lie in that one cup in the morning. I have kept this habit for over 60 years. When I open my eyes in the morning, first thing I do is heat some water. It is not boiling water. It is water between about 40 and 50 degrees Celsius, warm enough to feel it. When you wrap your hands around the cup, I pour that water into a small cup and slowly sit down. And I drink it. I do not drink it in a hurry. I take a sip, pause for a moment, then take another. It takes 5 to 10 minutes to empty one cup. During that time, I do nothing else. I look out the window, close my eyes, or simply feel the warmth going down my throat into my stomach. That is how the day begins. First, it may feel like nothing special. There are no dramatic changes after 1 or 2 months. But after 6 months or a year, you will suddenly realize it one day that your digestion has become completely comfortable, that waking up in the morning is less difficult, and that your start to the day has become a bit calmer and more solid. This is not a miracle. It is accumulation. The act of greeting your stomach every morning, asking for its cooperation for the day, piles up until one day your body begins to remember it. To explain it medically, it is like this. While we sleep, all of our digestive organs enter a state of rest. The stomach stops, the intestines slow down, and the entire body switches to sleep mode. Just because you open your eyes in the morning doesn't mean those organs wake up immediately. But at this time, if you drink a cup of warm water, the stomach lining is stimulated and begins to gradually become active. Intestinal movement is promoted, and waste products accumulated from the previous night begin to be expelled. Blood circulation also flows more smoothly. It is a completely different start compared to beginning the day with cold water or coffee. I once told this story to a student of mine. He was a young professor in his early 40s who constantly suffered from indigestion and said his head felt heavy every morning. He took expensive probiotics and lived on digestive medicine. I told him try drinking a cup of warm water every morning for just 3 months. Try that first, and if it still doesn't work, then take the medicine. He was half doubting, but he agreed to do so. 3 months later, the student came to find me and said, "Professor, I have stopped taking digestive medicine. I do not think that is a miracle of a cup of warm water. It was the result of starting to respect the body's rhythm. We have pushed our bodies too hard for too long. Faster, more, stronger. We ignored the signals our body sent, suppressed them with medicine, and whipped them with caffeine. The result is our current physical state. A cup of warm water is a small revolution that goes against that flow. It is a declaration that you will not rush. It is a vow to start today slowly, yet firmly. It costs no money. It requires no special ingredients. It does not take a long time to prepare either. Yet people do not do this. Why is that? Because it is too simple. At some point, we stopped believing in simple things. We came to believe that something must be expensive to be good and complex to be effective. But having lived for 105 years, I know the things that last the longest are the simplest ones. When you wake up tomorrow morning, heat up water before reaching for your smartphone and drink it slowly. Without any thoughts, just focus on that warmth. That is the most honest prescription I can give you today. It is the cheapest health tonic in the world, yet perhaps the most powerful one. When water wakes the body, the day begins quietly. Now we have reached the end of the story. Chili soju, pickled garlic, ginger, jujube, soybean paste, soup, and a warm glass of water on an empty stomach. These are the 5. They are not extraordinary. They are not fancy. Perhaps they are things your mother or grandmother already knew. I am not teaching you something new today. I have simply brought back what we had forgotten together. Looking back on the years, I don't recall ever doing anything special for my health. I never took expensive supplements or followed trendy health fads. I simply accepted what the season provided, waited for fermentation to ripen, and listened to the signals my body sent. That was everything. And that was enough. In my youth, I took my health for granted. In my 30s, I overworked my body. I stayed up reading, skipped meals, and cut back on sleep to work. I ignored every small signal my body sent me. Back then, I thought it was passion. Now I know. It was not passion, but ignorance. The body is the only home we live in. Treating that home poorly while hoping for longevity is no different than expecting to live 100 years in a building with a crumbling foundation. It wasn't until I reached my 60s that I finally began to understand the meaning of a kitchen. The kitchen was not merely a space for preparing food. It was a space for having a conversation with my body every day. It was a space to quietly ask and answer what to add and what to remove, what my body wanted today, and what warmth it needed. That conversation accumulated, becoming 10, 20, and 40 years. And it has made me who I am today. I must make one confession here. I did not do these things because I wanted to live a long life. At first, I started simply because my body was uncomfortable, because I was cold, had indigestion, or couldn't sleep. Very simple reasons. It wasn't a grand goal of living long, but a small wish to spend today a little more comfortably. As those small wishes accumulated every day, it suddenly became this. Living a long life should not be the goal. Living a long life is a result. The goal should be to live today well. Starting the morning well, giving your body something good today. Not ignoring the gifts the season brings today. Those moments gather to become tomorrow, next year, and eventually a lifetime. There may be some among you who are struggling with your health right now. Some of you in your 50s may be feeling signals here and there, and some in your 60s might have weak knees and cold hands and feet. By the time you reach your 70s, you might find the person in the mirror looking unfamiliar. I have something I would like to say to all of you. Do not look for the answer too far away. Go back to your kitchen. Open your refrigerator right now. Is there garlic? Is there ginger? Is there doenjang? You can start today with those. You can start tomorrow morning by heating up some water. You can start by going to the autumn market and buying some chili peppers. You can always start at this moment, right where you are. I am now 105 years old. To be honest, I do not know how much longer I can live. But I do know one thing. Tomorrow morning, when I open my eyes, the first thing I will do is heat some water. I will slowly drink a cup of warm water. And today I will continue my quiet conversation with my body. That is all I can do, and that is enough. Life is not a noisy festival. Life is a quiet ritual that begins in the kitchen every morning. Do not neglect that ritual. The person who masters their kitchen eventually masters their own body, and the person who masters their own body eventually masters their own life. Thank you for listening to my long story until the end. Have a warm bowl of doenjang soup for dinner tonight. That is enough for today.